Hello everyone, today we're working on this SD40. We are going to convert it to DCC, and we're also going to be adding ditch lights to it. I've already cleaned and lubricated this engine in the past, so we can go straight. I know it's a good running engine, so we can go straight to doing the conversion. Let's take a look at the engine a little bit. It's got microtrains conversion, so that's really neat. To remove the shell, you could use the box method, or there's two little tabs here that you can pull on. Now this is something I've never done before. This is the old style frame. These used to have blue boxes. The old style frame, which is not DCC friendly. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of work to this. But these old style frames, they sure are good runners. So let's just take a look at our decoder. Years ago I did not have a DCC controller, so I would remove these and make the engines go back to DC. Now with these, I tested them on a previous episode, and these still work. So it's a really small decoder. If I remember correctly, it's Digitrax, and that means I don't have to do too much milling from the frame, but it's probably gonna sit in here. So I'm gonna have to mill it just a little bit in this area. I will be using this blue wire here, which is an accessory wire to run my ditch lights. So I have to add an extra resistor, so I have to make room for that too as I do the milling. So this light shield I can reuse, that's good to have, but these little boards, they're going to be put aside. I won't be needing them anymore. So I just have to come up with a plan. So I'm going to mill the frame a little bit here. I basically just have to remove that little thing. I'm going to go down maybe a bit further just for an insurance and to give me enough room to put my my ditch light in. So I'm just going to use this Sharpie. It's the other brand, but it does the same job, just to make a guide for where to cut, because I don't want to cut too deep, and this part of the frame here could be fragile. So I'm going to make a nice cut here. It's the not the ditch light that I need to make room for, but really is the resistor for the ditch lights. And then I make a nice cut like that. That should give me plenty of room to make that work. Now the best way I found to make a cut like that is with a hacksaw, and that makes a lot of shrapnel. So you do not want to do that with everything assembled like that. You want to disassemble everything so you can get to you can clean it up afterwards. So just remove the fuel tank, and then we'll remove these two screws that hold everything back together. I'm going to use my box just to hold everything in, because I do not want to lose any components. Some of these components are still available though, but you still don't want to lose them. We'll just put everything together there. Just keep track of everything. If this engine, I know my way around this engine. It's one of my favorite engines, and to be honest, they're pretty simple. But should you forget how it's put together, don't pull on these. I've seen some of these with broken tabs. and it's a pain because you have to put your trucks back every time you lift the locomotive. But just spread out the frame a little bit. Don't worry about which way they go because they have an arrow. There's a little arrow there that goes towards the coupler. So it's very easy to work on, I think. And then we'll just push these little pins through. These 4 little pins hold the motor cradle together. So just put them through, push them through, and that should release your frame half. There's 2 insulators here, so we'll be removing these so we don't lose them. Because I've got hold this in my vise while I work on the frame, so just to make sure that the little insulators don't get damaged while I'm doing that. And also these brass pins, they use for noise reduction. So you do want them, you want to keep them, but while I'm working hard on the frame, I don't want to bend them or lose them, so we'll be removing them too. It's not very hard to do, just go easy and gentle on them. And we'll remove that insulator as well. So there, my frame is bare. And then you have the drive line. I actually do that on purpose. I'll keep the rear one close to the rear and the front one close to the front. I keep the way I know which way is the front is always lower because of the short nose, the low short nose. And same thing with the motor. The motor has an order in which way it goes also, so you want to be mindful of that. There's one of the magnets is painted. So yeah, it's nice to have the video so I can go back and see which way it was oriented. We'll be doing some work on the motor for sure to convert it to DCC. But as you can see, this magnet is painted, so that goes up in the frame. So let's just keep that in mind. And then that's also ready to be worked on. Excellent. So I just need to cut here. And that will be that. And this one I just need to cut here, and that will be that. So I'm gonna get to work on that. I got a brand new hacksaw blade, so that should make everything easy now. So a brand new hacksaw blade versus the Kato frame. It didn't take long. Let's just say it wasn't a fair fight. So then I'll take my Dremel and I'll clean it up. That should be plenty of room for my decoder. In fact, it's about the same size as the little printed circuit board from the engine. Basically just needed to make an extra little bit of room for my resistor. So that works out great. Now, I don't know if you guys remember the conventions for wiring in an engine. These are the instructions from a very similar decoder. So the black and red are the track feed, and then the gray and orange go to the motor. So we'll be focusing on that for now. It's going to give me the opportunity to test it and change the address and all that stuff. Make sure everything's working okay. And after that, I'm going to put some LEDs on it. Mainly also dish lights. So I've got the yellow, white, and blue for the front and rear light, and then F1, which is an accessory. So I green, the green for F1, which is an accessory, so I plan to use that for my ditch lights. As you can see, I've got the black and red, and then the orange and gray. And then I've got the 3 wires for the lights. I'm not seeing my accessory lead, so I might just hook up the ditch lights with the front light. That is no big deal. I wish I had some gray wire, but I had to use this black one instead of the gray. So that goes to the motor along with the orange. Now I'm going to reassemble everything, connect the decoder to the track, and we'll see if I can get it going. Very important that you put Kapton tape anywhere the wire could get in contact with the frame. The decoder, the controller, your DCC controller sends full power to the track, so you definitely don't want your motor to contact that. Now I'm going to reunite this with the motor. Remember the white magnet goes on top. Just going to reunite this together. I'm not going to snap it in just yet because I want to put my 2 worm gears. Just wanted to get them started in their proper slot there, so as I snap it in, they will go in nice and easy. Just double check everything, and then we'll bring in the other side of the frame. I made a small indentation in the frame here just to pass the wire. That helps me line up all my motor correctly. So I did the same thing on the other side. So far so good. I'm going to bring in the rest of the hardware that's necessary to make the locomotive run. So I'll start with the contact strips, and then I'll use the fuel tank to hold them in place. It's really easy once you do it a couple times, you get the hang of it. These are actually meant to be easy for the people at the factory to put together. So that there's an arrow showing you the way. This one goes that way. And the other one goes the other way. Now we bring in the screws. The screws, they kind of have a direction also. So I'll just start them. I won't tighten them just yet. I've got still another operation I need to do. So these I'll just start them. Perfect. That's okay if the trucks fall out. I need to have everything loose at this point. There's no need to worry about that too much now. We'll worry about that later. So I've got my decoder connected to the motor. That is a very important thing to do. And then I've got to connect my decoder to the track. So I'm going to do that the lazy way. I'll just use a tiny little piece of cardboard and just sandwich them on each side like that. And that's going to give me track power. Now you should put some Kapton tape on here also, so your decoder doesn't contact the frame. I had some electrical tape, so I used that. So let's go try that on the track. So let's see what happens. up the program track and let's see what happens. We'll go program on the program track, enter, standard, manufacturer 99, that's excellent, enter, decoder version 46, so that I can go look it up on Google and find out what the version is, enter, setup address yes, short address 003, let me just look up my cab number, the long address yes, it's going to be 6338, enter, activate this address for sure, and then we'll just skip everything else. And then that's it, escape. And then let's see what we got, if it's going to work forward. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. I also got the motor in the proper direction, so that is good news. Direction. Awesome. Nice and quiet as ever. I'm gonna run it a little bit just like that, just for fun. Alright, so now that I got it going, I can worry about some other stuff. So I looked up online, manufacturer 99 is Lens, and version 46 is this little guy right here, and that with that information I was able to download the instructions. So that gives me access to all the info, how to wire it, all the CVs, what everything does. So that is really neat. So that if you did choose to purchase this engine, the instructions will be going with it. I would also like to make the wiring a little bit neater. So I will try to have the power pickups more on the middle of the engine, and then have them just be just a little bit neater like that. Now I've got my wire set in a much neater way, but it's important to test every time you make any changes. Important to test that everything is working. It is working nice, so that's good. Well, now I have to worry about my ditch lights. So what I want to do here is I'm probably going to run the wires in that space between the sill and the handrails over here. So that will hide my wires. I'll be very happy if I can do that. So I'm going to take the shell apart, and then we'll take another look, see how feasible that is. Now, to take the shell apart, you just need to press on these little pins. So for me, they're already loose. The windows hold the shell together, and these two little pins here, once you have the back part of it, it becomes easier. And then don't forget about your handrails. You just have to release them so they don't break. That would be bad. So you don't give them a chance to break, just release them. And that's that. So put that on the side. And then these usually split up pretty easily. Or you can pry on the second step. And this has a very nice microtrans conversion on it. Well worth the money and made in the USA. So very few things are made in the USA anymore. Lots of things are shipped out to China. So I would like to run the wires. Let me get that to refocus. I would like to run the wires in this area here. So let's take a look at my LEDs. So this is what you need to order: 0603 12 volt white, and specify with resistor, because we are going to use that today. I tested them all before I install them. I always test them. It would be a shame to spend all the time installing them and find out they're bad. On that topic, you should buy more than what you need. They're not that expensive, so get a whole bunch. So if one of them's bad, then you can just put another one in. Okay, so let's make the holes in the pilot beam. If you don't have a jeweler's drill like this, get one. I use mine all the time. So I'm gonna want the wire to come into that little pocket here, which is not being used. So I'm gonna use that to bring in my wires. So I'm gonna use my jeweler's drill. I'm gonna make a hole right here. You can barely see the holes, which I guess that was the idea. Actually came in from behind like this, because that makes it easier and have a better symmetry of everything. So that worked out great for everybody. I think when I put the wires through, I'm gonna angle the LEDs just a little bit out like that. That should look awesome. So everything's moving along. Now to put the wires through, I have to unsolder this resistor. In fact, I'm gonna wire everything in series. Let me just show you how that works. So everybody makes these beginner videos, but I think there's not too many beginners anymore in model railroading. I look at my demographics, everybody's 65 or older. Anyways, the parallel circuit, let's say we have two LEDs here. You can wire them like that, and then this one gets a plus and this one gets a minus. So that's parallel. And if you go in series, you have your power source, and then you have your two LEDs. So just wire them like that. So there's less wiring, and all the two light bulbs get the same voltage, they're the same brightness, which is what I want. So we're going to wire them in series like that. So you have to thread these in there. Like I always say, take your time. Just thread them in. And there's your ditch light. I'll do the same thing for the other side. Now this is a question that I have. These wires are very thin, about the thickness of a hair. So I'm wondering if it's going to interfere with my handrail. So we're about to find out. I can see the tiniest little crack here. But that's how fine the tolerances are with Kato. You know, if you have the width of a hair of something, it gets them out of place. But this is tolerable. So I'm not going to make any changes to that. That's actually really good news. I can live with this. This is tolerable. I like it. Now all I got to worry about is wiring in my LEDs. Connected my small resistor to the blue, which is the common, and from what I remember would be the positive side, so the red wire. So I'm going to test this out before I go any further by connecting the rear headlight to the yellow here. I'm just testing that I read my instructions correctly, but that works perfectly, so I can just wire everything. Still runs good, so that's perfect. So everything's coming together now. I have to worry about doing some insulation. This is what I use, liquid tape. I picked that up from the Home Depot. So I use that to protect my wires. I've got to insulate this area here and this area here, because if I get a short circuit, it would be bad. Now that looks like a big mess of wires, but we are getting somewhere. Look at that. Look at that. This is so cool. So that was a lot of work, but I'll say well worth the effort. I even repaired the little handrail right here. So now we're ready to go. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.